Okay, so very quickly, the answer here is goodwill in the amount of 150,000. And this is by deducting 450,000 from 600,000. How did we solve for the 450 class? We solved first for the book value of the net assets. That's 100 plus 120 plus 180. And we added the differences between the book value, the fair value in the assets and liabilities of the subsidiary. In this case, only the plant assets has a difference of 50,000. The fair value must be greater than the book value in the amount of 50,000 since we needed to debit the plant assets by 50,000. Okay, and again, if you're asked goodwill attributable to the parent, our answer here would be 90,000. Goodwill attributable to the non-controlling interest, our answer would be 30,000. Then the NCI, measurement of NCI is at fair value. In this case, the presumed fair value of your NCI would be 120,000. And again, do not forget that the NCI is to be reported or only appears in the consolidated balance sheet. It is not maintained in the books of the parent nor in the books of the subsidiary. Let's proceed to the next problem, 14-9. The question is still total assets and total liabilities. Here, total assets of Pepe, I'm assuming Pepe is the parent and Sarah is the subsidiary. Are these the fair values? Let's check. Summarize portions of Pepe Companies and Sarah Company statement of financial positions. So basically, these are still at their book values class. Okay, but at the last paragraph, the book values of Sarah Company's assets and liabilities approximated market values except for accounts payable which had a fair value that was 5,000 more than the book value. Any remaining difference is attributable to goodwill. So basically, the book value of the assets of the subsidiary is equal or equivalent to its fair value. So we can easily solve for total assets here. How much is the total assets of the parent class? It is 800. And then you add the assets of the subsidiary, 300, which is already at fair value, you will have 300. So if you add 800 and 300, you would get 1,100,000. And there's only one choice that has 1,100,000. The answer here must be letter B, correct? No, because I told you to always check for resulting goodwill. Okay? So please don't be careless, class. Okay? Especially if answering for total assets, check for resulting goodwill. You did not even check if the consideration was in cash. Was the consideration in cash, class? Borrowed. So it will not affect our assets. Okay? Always be careful. So what else do we do? We will have to solve first for the goodwill. And to do that, what are the two things we need to solve for goodwill? Consideration and fair value of the net assets. How much is the consideration? It is 160,000. But again, understand that is only for 80%. Okay, what's the second thing we need? We need the net assets. Whose net assets, class? The acquirer, the subsidiary. So we have 300 minus, should it be 155? It should be 160 because it has an accounts payable that has a fair value greater than its book value by 5,000. Okay, so the total asset liabilities at fair value is not 155 but 160. Okay, and this is where students get confused because the author is fond of using the same figure twice, class. You have two 160s here. The first 160 is the consideration class, and the second 160 here would be the liabilities at fair value. So for those looking only at solution manuals class, some students would get confused. Okay, the 160 we are deducting from the 300 is not the consideration, but the fair value of the liabilities. So 300 minus 160 is how much? 140. Okay, but the 140 is again for all the assets and liabilities, correct? So it will not be appropriate to compare or deduct it from the 160 because the 160,000 consideration is only for an ownership stake of 80%. So what do? We look for the equivalent value for 100% ownership. And how do we do that? We divide 160,000 by 80%. And that will give you 200,000. Okay, so in the first column of our table class, we will have 200 minus 140. But again, I want you to complete the table first, and the portion that can easily be computed would normally be the second row. If the net assets is at 140, apportion it between the controlling and the non-controlling interest class. How much then is the proportionate share of the controlling interest in the net assets of the subsidiary? What do you do? 140 times 80%. How much is 80% of 112,000? That means the proportionate share of your NCI must be 28,000. Okay? Then complete the first row as well. You have 200, 160, and then that means the presumed fair value of your NCI must be 40. Compare the 40 with the proportionate share of your NCI in the net assets of the subsidiary class, which was 28. Is everything in order? Yes, so long as the presumed fair value of the NCI is not lesser than the proportionate share of the NCI in the net assets of the subsidiary. So with that, we can proceed with completing the last row of the table. So that means the resulting goodwill would be 200 minus 140, and that is 60,000. Goodwill attributable to the parent then is how much? 160 minus 112, that would be 48,000. And then goodwill attributable to the non-controlling interest, that is 40 minus 28, that would be 12,000. So can we now solve for our total assets? Yes. Acquirer 800, acquiree 300, resulting goodwill of 60. So that would be 1,160,000. But nonetheless, let's try to solve for the total liabilities class. Liabilities of 250 and then liabilities of the acquirer at fair value of 160, you will have 410. And then what else do we have to add? The additional liability of the parent arising from the 160,000 borrowings of 410 plus 160 will give you 570. Question, how do we know how do we know that the total liabilities does not include yet the borrowings of 160 class? How do we know that 250,000 liabilities do not include yet the 160,000?
Because it's not borrowed in July 1.
Yeah. Okay, so the balances given there are as of June 30, while the borrowing happened on July 1. Okay, so again, the answer there would be delta.
So why don't we include the present value?
The
loan.
Which one?
The
160,000?
yeah. Then do we not present value or whatever?
Does it say that it's a long-term liability class? No. So we cannot know whether there's a need to get the present value, because if it's a short-term liability, its fair value will be equivalent to its face value class.
10 annual installments.
10 annual installments. Is payable in 10 annual installments. Now, since this is interest-bearing, there will be no need to solve for the present value. Okay, so the carrying amount of your liability will just be at its face value. Okay, let's proceed to 14-10. Push down accounting. If Soto Company uses push down accounting, the non-controlling interest should be reported at, you will just use, the NCI will just be at its proportionate share in the net assets class. Okay? basically under push-down accounting, if I remember it right, there will be no goodwill attributable to the non-controlling interest class. So you make sure that the difference in our third column will just be 0 class. Okay, that's basically what we will do in push-down accounting. Okay, let's try to complete the table class. How much is the consideration? 990, and then are we given the fair value of the net assets? How much? 900? Okay. So, what do? We divide the 990 to get the 100%, correct? And that would ordinarily give you, is it 1 million? Okay, let's do that. But if that's the case, then the value that will be assigned to your NCI would be 10,000. Okay? But for the time being, just put it there. Next, apportion the fair value of the net assets. How do we do that? By simply multiplying the controlling interest and the non-controlling interest to the fair value of the net assets. 900 times 99% will give you 891, while the share of the NCI in the net assets of the subsidiary would be 1% of 900, which is 9,000. Will you compare that with the presumed fair value of the NCI we computed earlier, which is 10,000? That will give you a difference of 1,000, which is not what we do in push-down accounting. In using the table class, what is our rule for when we use push-down accounting? There will be no goodwill attributable to the NCI. And how do we do that? The amount that you will assign to your NCI should just be equivalent to the share of the NCI in the net assets of the subsidiary, which is 9,000. So override the 10,000, you use the 9,000. Okay, and that would already give you our answer because we simply ask for NCI. So the answer here would simply be 9,000. Now, what would make this interesting, class, if you were asked to solve for the resulting goodwill? Because if that's the case, the value of the company as a whole will no longer be 1 million. How much would be the value of the company as a whole? That would be 999, because the value assigned to your NCI is not 10,000 but 9,000. So in our table, you will have there in the top left cell, you will have 999 minus the fair value of the net assets of 900. In this case, if you're asked for the resulting goodwill, your answer would be 99,000. Okay, and if you will be asked how much is the goodwill attributable to the parent, your answer would be 99,000. And that is 990 minus 800. How much was it? 891. 990 minus 891 will give you 99,000. Or simply, in push-down accounting, the resulting goodwill will be solely attributable to the parent. Let's just forego the recitation for tonight. Let's have 14-11. Pita Company acquires the controlling interest in Soda Company in the open market for 120,000. The 100 par value capital stock of Soda Company at the date of acquisition is 125, and its retained earnings amounts to 50,000. The market value per share of Soda is 120 per share. In the consolidated statement of financial position, the date of acquisition, the NCI would show a balance of. So basically, we are asked for your NCI. Okay. How much ownership stake have we acquired, class? 100 par value at the date of acquisition is 125,000. So how do we know how many shares are outstanding? Class, to answer that question the knowledge needed is not to come from this subject. You're supposed to be able to figure this out already. If your capital is 125,000 and you have a par value of 100, you should be able to figure out that the number of shares outstanding is 1,250. That is 125,000 divided by 100. And then the next question is, how many shares have you acquired? How much did we pay for our controlling interest? 120,000. Now, the amount to be divided to your 120,000 class is what is crucial. Are you going to divide it by 100 or are you going to divide it by 120? 120 because this is the selling price per share in the market. So 120,000 divided by 120, this will give you how much? 1,000. That means you have acquired 1,000 shares out of the 1,250 shares outstanding. So percentage-wise, how much have we acquired? How much is our controlling interest? 80%. 1,000 divided by 1,250 will give you 80%. Okay, are we asked for the value of the RNCA? So what do we do? Consideration of 120 divided by 80%, that will give you 150, 150,000. Okay, that means if the value of the company as a whole is 150 and the consideration for 80% stake is 120, that means the presumed fair value of the remaining 20% must be 30,000. But again, I always want you to check, class. Or is it possible to check? No, we're not given with the fair value of the net asset. So let's leave it at 30,000. The fair value of the NCI must be 30,000. That's it. Next, the price paid by Pepsi for its 80% investment in soda company is, basically what is being asked is for the price. Normally, we're asked for goodwill and given na si price. I remember I not like this problem, class. Because in this problem, you have to answer. That's I think I have an answer different from the choices, class. I cannot remember. Let's try to solve it. Basically, my problem with this problem is that for you to get the answer that is in the choices class, you have to assume that the consolidated assets here, the assets here in the consolidated financial statements, all comes from the acquiree, which is very unlikely, class. By using our table, class, what we know is that there is a resulting goodwill of 250,000. Just imagine, class, that I'm writing the table. The resulting goodwill is 250,000. And then, are we given with the consideration? No, that's what we're looking for. But we're given NCI. Okay, let's try to do that. So the NCI is 100,000. So we can put that in the top right corner of our table. So the 100,000 must be for 80% of our, 20% of the value of the company as a whole. So what do we do? Divide 100,000 by 20%, and that will give you 500,000.
Yes.
So how do we call the 500,000? That would be the value of the company as a whole. Okay, so we have the value of the company as a whole of 500, and then we have the resulting goodwill of 250. What does that mean? That the fair value of the net assets of the subsidiary is also 250. Let's apportion the 250 between the controlling interest and the non-controlling interest, just to make sure everything is in order. 250 times 80%, the proportionate share of the controlling interest in the net assets is how much? 200,000. And then the proportionate share of the non-controlling interest in the net assets of the subsidiary is 50,000. So everything is in order, correct? Okay, so that means the consideration class for the 80% is 400,000. And then the goodwill attributable to the parent is 200, while the goodwill attributable to the non-controlling interest is how much? 50. And to me, that's a better solution, class. Kaya that would mean that out of the total assets of 950, 250 is your goodwill, and then 250 also comes from, only 250 comes from the subsidiary. The remaining 450 comes from the parent. So if this comes out in the exam, class, how much is the consideration? Our answer would be 400,000. Okay, if this comes out in our exam, the answer would be 400,000. If this comes out in the departmental exam, hopefully it does not. But if this comes out, I will have to talk to the examiner. Our answer would be 400,000. Yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to do if we're going to rely on the consolidated financial statements. But for that to be correct, that would mean that all the assets and liabilities are only coming from the acquiree, which is not likely. And if we do that, let's try to. Sorry. So if that's the case, the amount that would be the proportionate share of the NCI in the net assets would be greater than 100. If it's 550, how much is 550 times 20%? 110, which would now violate our rule, right? So that would give us another inconsistency, which would lead me to conclude that really we should stick to the 100,000 NCI. Because if that happens, class, the NCI should not be reported at 100. It should be reported at 110, given my explanation earlier. If you can get 110 from your ownership interest, then you should not be willing to sell it at lesser than 110. But considering that this shows 100,000, class, that means that this is already the fair value of your NCI. So that's why I do not agree with the suggested answer here. We'll stick to 400,000. Let's just end here. But definitely we'll have recitations next time. Yeah.